Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Wolfinia. This is episode 290 of my Minecraft survival series, and in the last episode, we did some work here in the business district of our city. We touched on some old builds, made some renovations, and we're not quite done with the renovations just yet, because there is this whole section of the business district right here, which is just far too gray for my liking. So what we discussed in the last episode was making our way over here to Luna's Forge, the name of which does not make any sense, but making some updates to Luna's Forge, because there's just too much gray. Now, maintenance, updates, upgrades, this is just the kind of thing you need to do every now and then when you're running a city, you know? This is the kind of thing we need to do here in Wolfinia from time to time. But we're not going to get around to Luna's Forge just yet, because there is some other stuff that requires our attention. So number one, walking around, I've noticed some of our iron golems are showing a little bit of wear and tear. So you know what? Take this, and you look like you have seen better days. You know what? Got something for you. And, I mean, since it seems everybody else is good here, you know what that means? It means more for me. Not that I need it, you know, it's supposed to be on a diet, but if you throw potions at your face, you're taking a lot less calories than actually drinking them. Now, on the subject of what we're going to do today, there is a lot of stuff here in Wolfinia that needs to get done, but there is one glaring thing that bothers me more than anything else. And I think last episode I said something about not wanting to touch it yet, not before the world tour, but it really bugs me. So let me show you the issue. The issue is our seawalls, or lack of seawalls, as the case may be. Because just imagine, we're starting our tour and we're starting, you know, in these areas where somebody would enter Wolfinia for the first time and they get their first glimpse at the city, and this is what they see? No, that is unacceptable. We're not going to kick off a world tour with this. That is just not going to happen. Not again, anyway. Now, I know I was talking a little bit earlier about, you know, there's too much gray in some areas of the city. The sea walls are going to be gray. There's nothing I can do about that. What am I supposed to do? Build it out of different blocks? No, that's just not going to happen. I mean, you know what? They're not going to be all gray. There's going to be a hint of green in there. So we got that going for us. Now, obviously, the sea walls are a big project. And I mean that physically, they are a big project. These sea walls will wrap around the entirety of our city, and it is a big city. And obviously, that's a lot of work. So, am I certain we'll be able to do it in time for the world tour? Nope. But if we're going to try to, we got our work cut out for us. And I do suppose it would make the most sense to start over here at the Grand Waterway, despite the fact that the approach walls are what's actually bothering me. And the reason for that is because over here at the Grand Waterway, we have walls that we're going to build off of. These need to connect to these kind of inner walls of the Grand Waterway, and they need to be consistent, they need to be cohesive, and all that mess. So we are kind of starting as far away as we can from the walls I actually want to be completed before the world tour, but there is good reason for that. Now, as far as how far down we're going to take these sea walls, I'm not going to drop them all to the sea floor because, as you can see, it's very uneven. The depth of the actual sea floor is fairly inconsistent, and I do want the walls to be fairly consistent. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop our seawalls down to a consistent depth, and then later on, and I mean probably much later on, we will raise our sea floor to actually meet with them. Now, depending on how much work this actually turns out to be, we may or may not complete it in this time lapse, but you know what? We're going to see exactly how much we can get done. So, at this point, let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. Welcome back, everybody. So at this point, you can see we do have a pretty good start on the seawalls of the Grand Waterway. And I did bring these around, these circular platforms, all the way to basically where these walls will join with the seawalls that surround the outer districts of Wolfinia once we get them in place. Now, eventually, as I stated, we are going to eventually go back through here and kind of shape the land. That way, we don't have floating walls all over the place. Ultimately, what we want is for the seafloor here to be more consistent with the seafloor we have in here. A nice, kind of steady, even slope that's manicured. Now, I think we're going to come back here a little bit later in the episode to finish this up because these upper walls, I think, are doable in today's episode, but I do need a break from this for right now. So, onward to the next project. I was supposed to fly there. Let's try it again. Onward to the next project. Totally saved it. Now it is time to return to Luna's Forge. And the plan, as I explained earlier, is to kind of break up all of these gray builds in a row. And how we're going to do that is take Luna's Forge and change up its block palette so that way it is not so gray. You know what? I was just thinking it's going to still be gray, but it's going to be a different kind of gray. It's going to be a darker kind of gray. And that still counts. It does. What kind of basalt do we want to go with? Probably the polished, right? I think so. So I'm going to replace the acacia in the forge with basalt. But as far as replacing the stone and cobblestone goes, we got some options. We could either go with, like, you know, deep slate or some type of deep slate. Either that or blackstone. Huh. Decisions. All right, so I had it kind of narrowed down. I think at this point I have finally decided. We are going to go with the polished blackstone. And this, I think, is probably going to be a pretty much block for block rebuild of Luna's Forge. We're going to replace the acacia here with the polished basalt, as I said. We're going to replace all the cobblestone with blackstone. More polished than anything, but I'll try to add some variation in there. As far as the interior goes, I might throw in some deep slate depending on how it looks. I don't know. We will see. Yeah, just looking through here, there's a lot to replace, and a lot of it looks kind of dangerous to replace, so this should be fun. We'll see how much of it we can get done without, you know, burning this place down or breaking my redstone. At this point, let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get rid of all this gray. At this point, we do have Luna's Forge rebuilt. It now breaks up the Sea of Gray on this side of the business district a little bit, and I do think I like it. Now, I do have a question to pose to you, considering we've replaced nearly every block on the interior and exterior of this build. Is it still Luna's Forge? I mean, the inner workings are still the same. It still serves the same purpose. It is built the same, just with some of the interior and exterior blocks replaced. Basically, the question I'm asking is, am I justified in changing the name of this place at this point? Because all this Luna stuff makes no sense to me. Now we'll go ahead and do a quick walk around this whole build just so you guys can see some of the changes that we've made and just so you can get a better feel for it, because the views you guys had when we were building were pretty far away and there's a lot of, you know, close-up stuff in here. I guess before we check out the furnace room, we can go ahead and throw some of these in there, because I'm fairly certain I will have to clear out some of my furnaces in there because we had a lot of stuff fall in as we were building this thing. As is expected, you know, I did clear it out once when we were building and check the functionality. It seems to be working all right, but I haven't done so since we've completed it. So let's just go ahead and start moving stuff out and make sure we didn't break anything. There we go. We got our iron making its way into this room. We have a lot of furnaces inactive, but that's just because they have a lot of random junk in them. So I think we can safely say the input looks good. And once I clear out all this random stuff, I will check the output. And if that's also good, we can call it for this build. All right, so the output seems to be good. The lava pouring down from the ceiling is good. The smelting in this room is good. The embers falling from the ceiling. I forgot how much I like this whole little effect right here. The sparks and embers falling down. That's also good. The redstone is good. Everything seems to be good here. So we can move on. Hi there, it's me from the future. Let's maybe not move on quite yet, because I do have a proposed name change for this place. Ignore anything that might look different. I do have a proposed name change for this place. The Forge of Theseus, which sounds much better than Luna's Forge, you got to admit. It's just something to think about, something to mull over, something I'm considering. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the video. All right, we are back here at the Grand Waterway. You know, we started this project in this episode. I do want to get it finished in this episode. There's a lot of holes that need to be plugged up, but I think we can just manage it if we start now. So let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. Welcome back, everybody. This is a historic moment. You guys are about to see this for the first time. The grand reveal of the Grand Waterway into Wolfinia from way out here, whatever this area is called. I haven't decided on a name for it yet. Anyway, this is meant to be approached by boat. You see that? I guess that would have been cooler if I would have played it off like it was no big deal, but whatever. This is awesome. Look at this. You guys just have to imagine that the floor is like terraformed and seascaped and whatnot, and imagine how it will look. And you shush. No, it's imagining, okay? It's not stupid. You're stupid. This isn't stupid, though. This is awesome. That driver's gonna get evicted soon. I didn't like his attitude. But, yeah, I'm just gonna be quiet for a moment and enjoy a peaceful ride into the New Moon Bay. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to go as far as our sea walls are concerned, but we did manage to make it to the perimeter of the outer districts on each side. So I think what we're going to do is probably next time we work on our sea walls, we'll start on this side and continue them out that way towards the approach. That way, hopefully, we can at least get this section of wall taken care of by the time episode 300 rolls around. I think that's doable, but as far as this episode goes, I am very happy with the progress we've made today on the Forge of Theseus and on the Grand Waterway walls. That is going to do it for us here today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to hit that little thumbs up button. That would mean a whole lot to me. And if you want to see more of Wolfinia, please remember to subscribe. But as always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I hope you enjoyed your stay here in Wolfinia. I will see you guys later.